think he loves my kids too.
This is it.
Oh, did someone else deal with it?
Yes, sir.
All right.
50 pages.
You would stand, please, and do the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Heavenly Father, as we gather again tonight in this setting as our school board meeting, I pray that you would be with us. I pray that you would lead, guide, and direct us. Once again, we're so thankful for the community that we serve. We're so thankful for our system and all that it holds, Lord, our parents and faculty and our staff, and Lord, most of all, the kids. God, we love them, and we thank you for giving them to us and letting them be a part of our community and a part of our school system. Once again, lead, guide, and direct us tonight, and let us be mindful of you and what you would have us to do. Lord, we do ask all these things in your precious holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Now, let's call the meeting to order. Mr. Seb, we have any additions to the agenda?
Nothing that is very official, other than at the end I need to ask for at least one person to be part of an opportunity we have, but I can explain that. That's part of the FYI. Okay?
All right. If not, then consent agenda.
Everything, all of the minutes are in there, and you will also notice that the mask approval is there. That will be a requirement for the remainder of the school year, and unless you want to adjust that somehow, we can just leave it like it is. That's up to the board. And if you need me to read what that motion was last time, I'd be pleased to.
I don't, unless y'all feel different, I don't see us need to readdressing that, do you? Should be okay.
Okay, just leave it where it is then. And this evening, we have several recognitions, and we're going to be doing this for the remainder of the year. I have asked our maintenance department to come in and to let us pat them on the back. So if Brandon Burdett and Aaron Smiley and Michael Green and Wayne Cutshaw, did I miss anyone? That's here. Y'all come on up here. And Michelle. She don't count anymore, but we'll bring her up. Right, Paula? Right. This crew, I wouldn't say they work. Burdett just made my point. I wouldn't say this crew works any harder than anyone else, but they certainly do work hard. I'll tell you a story. Last Thursday at about 2:45, I got a phone call from Lisa Sutton, and Lisa said, we have sewage backing up into the bathrooms through the vents, and once again, our sewage system out there, the grinders had broken down, and so we made a quick phone call, and Aaron and I think Michael and Tommy went out there, and they worked until 7 o'clock to make sure that we could have school on Friday, because if they hadn't gotten that finished, we would not have been able to have kids in the building. That's the kind of things that these gentlemen and ladies do these gentlemen and lady do all the time. Yeah, I figured one of them would get a grin out of that. So I bring them to you tonight as part of Swain County Schools that we cannot do without. There are some others that are not here this evening. Tommy.
I'm trying to figure out. He's whooping me, and I'm trying.
Tommy, who is missing tonight?
Who is missing tonight? That would be Mr. Tommy Fuller, who's not with us tonight. And we have two gentlemen that are coaching presently and are not able to be here, Kevin Jones and Jimmy T.
So this is our maintenance crew. So would you please help me thank them for all that they do? And of course, Michelle is here with them because she was part of the maintenance crew for a long time, and she kept them running through the first part of the year, but she's moved to the dark side now. We have T-shirts for each of you. This one is for you.
I think y'all not bring in Jimmy.
This one is for you.
And we're having some fun with this because these are not the right size.
These are the wrong sizes.
These are the wrong sizes, but we're gonna do this because so they can have a picture and everything.
This is for you.
Any extras
Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. And Tommy, you can have a t-shirt too, because you need to dress up. Thank you for that. And we'll bring someone in each meeting, another group who work with us and help us out, okay? Next on the agenda, Mr. McKinney, is our needs-based capital grant. You were sent a digital copy of that. I think, do you have a hard copy?
Yes.
It's 50 pages long. Kevin Allman did an amazing job helping us put this together. As you look at it, you'll notice that there is also some of the work from Novus Architects out of our facilities study. They sent this to us last Friday as a draft copy, and we were able to lift some of the needs from here and insert them into the grant. Dr. Sutton was also instrumental in helping us do the educational pieces of this to help Kevin have all the pieces that he needed to make this work. You'll also notice at the end of it, there is a letter from Novus Architects recommending the direction that we're going, because I think we're all moving in the same direction there. I shared some information about this with the commissioners last Thursday evening at their session. They had asked some questions when we had joined together with them to present this the first time. One of their questions was whenever the new housing units are built on Coopers Creek, how will that affect our enrollment? So Tommy did some calculations for us, and based upon the number of students that we have at the Adams Creek housing place, I can't think of words right now, I'm sorry, I'm not a lawyer, I'm losing my words. We have extrapolated that we will gain about 20 students for 100 units. Right now, the plan for Coopers Creek is to start at 100 units, 3 years.
3 years or so is what they just got in trust, and they're figuring being able to get the infrastructure started and everything and be ready to start building within 3 years.
You know, I think that the commissioners were concerned about that because they wanted to make sure that we had enough capacity in our buildings, and I believe that we do, even with that. If they were to build 200 units, that would be approximately 40 students. I believe that we can absorb that because it wouldn't just be at one campus. It would be at multiple campuses. So I think we'll be okay. Another question that they asked and they were very concerned about is if we send this in, are we locked into the numbers and into a plan? And so I sent an email to Nathan Mounty of, who does he work for, Stephanie? School planning, that's exactly right. And he said that is absolutely accurate. We are not locked into anything. We aren't even locked into the type of grant that we're asking for. He said if we ask for a middle school but decide to build an elementary school, the only thing that would change is the amount of money that you can request. That is all. So we have total flexibility. And I shared that with the commissioners, and I think that it might have made them feel a little more secure. The other piece that we don't know right now, it has to do with sewer capacity. Flow from that end of the county. Tommy is working desperately to try to get someone to contact him about that. We have not been able to do that yet, but we're working on that. There's a plan to meet with the commissioners again on March the 24th, and I would like to present official copies of this to them at that point. But I think that we're ready to move forward. As a matter of fact, we have submitted that so that we could make sure we had it there on time. However, if when you vote this evening that you choose that this is not what we want to do, we can always withdraw our application. Okay? Any questions?
I don't. It's great.
The other thing that I have listed is the facility study. I would suggest that you take some time and look at this. There's a lot of information in here. And Travis and Mitch, we need to sit down and really pore over this so that whenever it comes budget time to speak with the commissioners, we can have a plan to hand to them that will help them in their planning as well, okay? If Novus was here, I would pat them on the back. They've treated us like we are their only customer, and I appreciate that a great deal. As far as facilities, those are the only pieces that we have. Questions? Thoughts?
Now that, oh, go ahead.
No.
That needs assessment, I call it building conditions and all, were scary. I mean, I didn't even begin to try to figure out the amount of cost we were talking about, so I'm glad that we did that. That's eye-opening.
Now, I think that particular piece, Mr. McKinney, is something that we need to keep in mind as we're talking about a potential middle school. because as we deal with a lot of those needs, it frees up our opportunity, I hope, to look at some others in that study. Okay, that's the goal anyhow. Anything else?
When should we hear back from that, the grant application?
My understanding is April the 12th is their deadline for notification. Okay? Now, I think that they have overwhelmed themselves because the number of applications that they're going to get this year is going to be enormous. So if they've only given themselves a month to look at those, they're going to be incredibly busy.
I think in our planning discussions, we were thinking probably the next year after would be more realistic to get it anyway. To get it fine.
Well, yeah, I think that we had to move in that direction this year
Yeah.
because we know that we have no match, and there's no guarantee of that next year.
Right.
So, you know, I think we're going to win either way. Be all right. Anything else? Miss Williams and Mr. Sale, if you would bring your students up here and introduce yourselves, and I know that there is someone among your group who can explain what all district is all about. Come on. If you're going to speak, you need to speak into that microphone so everybody in the universe can hear you.
So they're going to tell you their names and what they play in their grade first, and then Allison's going to tell you kind of what all district is.
I'm Tommy Dickens. I'm in the 8th grade, and I play clarinet.
I am Catalina Swanson. I'm in the 8th grade, and I play the tuba.
I'm Isabel Barker. I'm in 7th grade and I play the clarinet.
I am Emma Heron. I'm in 7th grade and I play the trumpet.
I'm Tyler Bennett. I'm in 10th grade and I play the trumpet.
I'm Allison Scheid. I'm in 12th grade and I play the tuba. So basically what All District is there's a large group of students across Western North Carolina who prepare to audition. This year we did auditions via like recordings and tapes that we sent in to be evaluated because of COVID-19. And there's 900? There's 900 people who send in auditions roughly in Western North Carolina, and we all got some of the top scores out of those 900 for our specific classes, and so that means we made it.
So what did you do?
So what we did essentially was we all got to go to WCU, and we got to work with guest conductors from basically a lot of different places. And over the span of 2 days, several hours, we prepared a couple pieces to play as an ensemble with all of the people who also had top scores. And then at the end, on the Saturday afterwards, we performed for everybody who wanted to come see it. So.
And can I say Jade Rattler couldn't be here this evening. She is a junior. She's a junior at Swain High School. She plays clarinet. And Avery Maples is at a soccer game tonight. Avery placed top 5. Actually, Avery placed first chair in the Western District. So she went on, and she actually this week is confirmed she made All-State. So she's the top 5 in the state of North Carolina, and she will perform in Chapel Hill in May and represent Swain County, which is pretty awesome.
And I can't emphasize enough how difficult some of these things are. When we're talking about Avery Maples, and she's placing top 5 in the state, that's like being a point guard on the state basketball team. The competition is that fierce. And for these folks here, we talk about the East-West All-Star game, basketball game, that's going to happen this Saturday in Highlands. These folks are competing with everyone in Western North Carolina, not just in their 1A category.
Yes.
It's 1A through 4A.
Yes.
And these kids have done well enough to perform. And we have a long history of this, especially in the tuba section.
That's true. That is true.
Because that goes all the way back to Russell Breedlove. Do you all remember Russell? Russell was a tuba player in the high school band back in the day. So congratulations. Come on.
Okay, so we forgot somebody.
Who's that?
My brother, Adam Scheid. I forgot about him because I don't like him. But he's in 8th grade and he plays the baritone. And he's in 7th grade.
You don't even know what grade your brother's in.
Sorry, that's my bad.
It's okay. I don't know what grade my brother's in either. So thank you all. Thank you to the teachers. You guys are phenomenal. And thank you to all of the effort that this group has put out and all of the band. We appreciate you and congratulations to you. Now, we need all of you to come out here and make a little arc line kind of thing and smile at that camera so that everybody in the universe can see who you are. And we've got a couple of people that want to take your your pictures. Just stand right there. Come on, marching band, line up. Let's go. And I have your names. Wait, don't move. I have your names, so we will have something that Ms. Williams and Mr. Sell can present to you as our thanks as well. Thank you so much. Thank you again. Congratulations. Thank you, parents. Appreciate you bringing them tonight and for your support. At our last work session, Ms. Treadway spoke to us about the 21-22 budget year and the budget that she has put together or helped us put together. I'll ask her to go over the budget resolution that she spoke about at that meeting just to refresh us because we'll need to vote on that tonight, please. Stephanie.
So I was just going to give you a very high-level review tonight since we had the detail review the other night. But for the 21-22 fiscal year, the total overall budget resolution is for $30,916,394. On the first section 1 of the budget resolution is for local current expense, and that is $1,197,233. That's about 4% of our overall budget. The majority of the funding for our local current expense comes from county funds of $1.147 million, and those funds are used primarily for our maintenance staff and for our utility cost. The next section is for the State Public School Fund, and the total budget for the State Public School Fund is $16,564,927, which represents about 54% of our overall budget. And about 90% of the State Public School Fund is used for salary and benefits. The next section is for federal grants, and the overall total for our federal grants to this point, because we continuously get some federal grant money throughout the year, so I'll be coming back with some more amendments for the federal grants fund. But right now, the total for that is $5,862,595, which is about 19% of the overall budget. Majority of that is right now with our CARES Act and our ESSER funding for COVID-19. The next section is for child nutrition. Our overall budget for child nutrition is $1,906,600 and represents about 6% of our overall budget. And the majority of the funding for that comes from federal funds from USDA for our meals. Next section is capital outlay. Our budget for capital outlay is $631,895, which represents about 2% of our overall budget. We have a couple of special projects in there right now. It also includes some debt service for some yellow buses and some equipment that we're doing a lease purchase on. Special revenue, which is where we account for our impact aid funding. So the majority of that is our impact aid funding. The total budget is $4,753,144 total. Of that, about $2.5 million is our impact aid funds. The rest of that is like our pre-K and other special funding that we get locally. And that represents an overall 15% of our overall budget.
Questions?
When do we send that impact aid form out now?
When do we send it out?
Yeah.
We send our impact aid out in September, the surveys. It goes out after the 20th student day. That is our survey date, is the 20th student day.
Are we still getting good responses on that?
It's still not as good as it was prior to COVID. We were able to use we just completed the application in January for the 23 school year, and we were still able to use 2020 survey forms, and it was better for us to use the 2020 forms for that.
Good.
So.
Any other questions? Need you to put in your mental calendar that in May, we'll be hosting the Cherokee Central Schools School Board. It's our turn, and they'll come over and we'll talk about some of these things. Mr. Clapsaddle has been in contact with Dr. Murray's office, and they're looking for some dates. So we will share that with you and then come up with a collaborative date when they can come over, and we'll feed them dinner and maybe provide just a little bit of entertainment for them. Okay? Any further questions? We need to approve our audit contract. Stephanie will take us through that.
For our 21-22 fiscal year audit contract, once again, it's with Boggs, Crump and Brown out of Morganton. The audit contract is for $31,600, which is $1,000 more than last year. And they usually will come and do their preliminary work and compliance work sometime in April. So we will, if the board approves the contract, then we'll send that off to local government, and then they'll have to approve it, and then they'll start their field work.
Any questions about that? We would ask for you to approve that during the action items tonight. Okay? Thank you, Stephanie, very much. Each month I'm bringing someone in from a school to talk to you about what they're doing, what's outstanding, and tonight I've asked Amanda Sutton from East Elementary. There's a lot of great stuff happening out there. Last month it was Sonia. Next month it'll be Lisa Sutton from West Elementary. But Amanda is going to dazzle you with numbers tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me be here this evening to talk about all the great things that are happening at East. To start with, we have amazing student, staff, and community. The data that I gave you will attest to the amazing staff and students that we have. The first sheet shows you our attendance, and all of this follows our MTSS. So we start with attendance. We have decreased students in tiers 2 and 3 by 9.5% in 1 year. So tier 1 is where we want most of the kids. We want all the kids there. And according to the state MTSS percentages, we are surpassing the state when it comes to our attendance. The next sheet you will look at is very hard to see, and I apologize for that, but we are piloting a point system very similar to the middle school. We are piloting in grades 3 through 5, and we're doing a version of it in kindergarten through 2nd grade. You will see that there's not a lot of change in points. That's because our kids are really well-behaved kids. But we saw a need for this. Mr. Schuler, he's kind of taken the lead on this, and we saw a need for this when I was out for professional development or something one day, and he called and he said, I hope I handled this situation the way you would have handled it. And we immediately recognized that we needed some kind of system where we were consistent. So I was offering the same consequences for the same infraction. So we're taking the behavior data and we're looking at weeks to see, this was an unusual week. This was Valentine's. This was Spirit Week, so we were all dressed up and we had lots of activities. So we're trying to see if there's any trends or patterns so we can make improvements the next time. So academics, I'm not going to read all of this to you, but 65% of our students have made progress towards annual growth in already reading and 54% in math. This is all based on our mid-year benchmark. We have several students who have already met in half a year the entire year's growth, and several students who are already at benchmark for the next year as well. The bottom where you see all the colors, this is our M class, which is K3. There's a few fourth grade students that are involved, but we are decreasing our reds, which are intensive, and we are increasing in green and blue, which are benchmark and above benchmark. And the last sheet that I would like to draw your attention to is our reading interventionist data. 100% of our students being served through our reading interventionist program have shown growth, and that's amazing. And you can see the average increase, that's really significant. It's a lot.
So Amanda, when you're talking about reading interventionists, we're actually speaking about those positions that the commissioners budgeted for us to have for 3 years. And what I hear you saying is those are showing growth in some significant ways. And these are not students who would probably show growth by themselves.
That is correct. So we have a schedule where they are pulled out from their regular classroom to receive very small group intervention every day. And we actually have a spreadsheet. I didn't share it with you because it's very, very large, and it has every single kid and every single subcategory that they are assessed on, and they are showing growth across the board. It's been amazing.
So I think if you would share that with Katrina or come yourself along with Katrina on the 24th, that our commissioners would love to hear that their investment is paying off.
Absolutely.
And I would love for them to hear that.
Yes. I would love to have another one too.
I know. They're always asking me for more people. It's like they grow on apple trees or something.
The data proves that we need it and that they are working.
The data proves that I need the money.
We have amazing community support. Just to tell a kind of funny little story. Our sign on our road, you will never see anything on it. The sign where you can put your letters and your own message, because we got probably a dozen phone calls. People driving by, someone had saw what they presumed to be teenagers making vulgar comments on the sign. They were rearranging the letters to make it say vulgar things. But I just say that to tell you that we have a really involved community, and they're really watching out for us. We have a very active PTO, and currently we're working towards a playground. I know you've probably heard East Elementary wants a playground for kindergarten and first grade for several years now, with prices and everything going up. It's going to completely wipe out our PTO account if we get the one that we want. So we're probably going to fundraise for another year, and we're also looking at grants that we can get that will possibly match some of our funds. So that's what's going on at East Elementary.
So Amanda, what's the average cost of a playground right now?
The one we're looking at, if you are familiar with the one that is across from the school at Ela Campground,
yes.
$29,000. That's to set it up. That's to put like the rolled rubber mulch. That's beginning to end. And we have $29,000 in our PTO account. Exactly.
So we need to order that soon.
Oh, absolutely.
Before prices.
Before they go up even more. This time next year, there'll be $35,000.
Okay.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda, very much. You have in front of you the calendar for 22-23. This has gone through several phases and several groups. Every school has had an opportunity to give a wish list, and then we would make some changes and show it to them, and we have ended up with what you see in front of you. There are some significant pieces to take note of. The first one is that the first student day is August the 22nd. That is a week later than we have become accustomed to. The reason for that is the law on the books says we may not have students until the Monday closest to, I believe it says, August 26th. So technically that should have been August 29th, but we have a waiver of 1 week from years past when we have had snow days. I don't know if we will get that waiver again at some point because we never have snow days anymore. But we are allowed to start on the 22nd. Now, what that did was force us to look at the first semester, especially from the high school perspective, with a very critical eye. That left right around 70 days for the first semester, and that if we were to end it before the winter holidays, that's not acceptable. So the end of the first semester is the little X on January the 20th. That means that the high school and the middle school will be completing their EOG, EOC testing on that week and the week before, okay? The other thing that is significant to note are the purple blocks. I know there are a lot of colors. Dr. Sutton reminded me that not everyone can see those colors, but if you're able to see the purple, those are days of mandated training that the state has put in place. It's for a comprehensive reading program called Letters. If you want us to explain that, I am certain that Ms. Turberfield could tell us exactly what that is in an elevator speech if you want to know. But let's leave it at this for now, and that is our pre-K through 5 teachers have to complete this in 2 years, and it requires face-to-face instruction. So those purple days are days when the students will either not be there for half a day or for all day, so we can complete that training. Those teachers that are not involved in that will be involved in PLC work like they have this year. There are several other days, for example, the goldenrod color, the light green. Those are also PLC days because our staff is continuing to ask that we give them opportunity to come together and work as groups so that they can look at student data and plan and review their instruction. We've tried to put those in about every other week. We've paid close attention to when holidays are so that we don't overwhelm some months with a lot of days when students aren't going to be there. Please note that spring break is listed to start in April on the 10th. That will be true of almost all school systems in the 1A conference, including Cherokee Central, to my memory. And we've been asked to try to coordinate those together for a lot of reasons, and some of those have to do with the fact that parents sometimes have students in 2 different systems, and they'd like to be able to work together. I think that pretty much explains everything that's on the calendar. Do you have any questions or any concerns?
Am I wrong, and I've been wrong? My best recollection, not many years ago, several years ago, we had an additional 5 work days. We used to do a lot of this in the summer. That was taken away.
To my memory, that is correct.
And we got rid of that. Now we're having to put it here. And we need to talk to the powers that be and see if we can get that changed back, because it worked then. I mean, everybody was here. Everybody in the summer before they started, they got all of it done.
Mm-hmm.
We got that out of the way.
That would be helpful. What would also be helpful is if they would just let us have some freedom to start the school year when is best for Swain County.
There was a movement for that too. But
I don't know if that will ever gain enough traction to pass in Raleigh. Not right now. Any other thoughts or comments? We would ask for you to approve that during our action session tonight. The last thing that I have for discussion are the board policies. They are listed on the second page of your agenda. I went through some of them at the last regular meeting. Policy 3225, 4120, 4400, 1510, and 3405 have all gone before our lawyers, because we made some adjustments to them, and board policy says when you do that, it needs to be looked at. They are in good shape, according to what I've been told. Okay? Do you have any questions about any of those? Appreciate the two of you looking at them with us. Okay? We would ask for you to approve those as the second reading tonight as well, so that we can get them posted. Okay?
All right.
That's all of the discussion items that I have, Mr. McKinney. Is there anything else?
I think let's see. Well, we've got that consent agenda, we've got the back, that'll work back there, won't it? That's it.
Okay. I would ask that you would take us to closed session so that we can talk about personnel and also a student issue that's pressing at the moment. Okay?
I move the Swain County Board of Education go into closed session for the purpose of discussing information that is privileged, confidential, and not a public record under North Carolina General Statute 143.318.11A1.
Second.
All in favor, by show of hands. We'll be back shortly.
Thank you.
We're back on? All right. All right, Mr. Purcell, let's do action items, please.
For personnel tonight, Mr. McKinney, I recommend that the Swain County Board of Education accept the resignation of Summer Childers as teacher assistant at Swain East Elementary effective March 4th, 2022.
Motion.
Any discussion? All of those in favor by show of hands? Motion's carried.
I recommend the Swain County Board of Education employ Kevin Jones as assistant varsity softball coach effective March 7, 2022.
Motion.
Any discussion? All in favor by show of hands? Motion's carried.
I recommend the Swain County Board of Education employ Bruce Roth as assistant indoor track coach for Swain High School for the 21-22 season.
Motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor by show of hands? Motion's carried.
I recommend the Swain County Board of Education employ Christopher Dyer as custodian at Swain High School effective March 23rd, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor by show of hands? Motion carried.
I recommend the Swain County Board of Education employ Sherman Holt as varsity head football coach.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor by show of hands? Motion's carried.
I recommend the Swain County Board of Education approve Karen Friedman as a Level 2 volunteer. The difference in Level 1 and Level 2 is that she has cleared a background check, and by virtue of that fact, she can be alone with students.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor by show of hands? Motion's carried.
I recommend the Swain County Board of Education approve the needs-based capital grant as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor by show of hands? Motion's carried.
I recommend the Swain County Board of Education approve the 21-22 budget resolution as Ms. Treadway has presented.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor by show of hands? Motion's carried.
Do you want me to read all of the board policies by number?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay. I recommend the Swain County Board of Education approve the board policies as second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor by show of hands? Motion's carried.
I recommend the Swain County Board of Education approve the audit contract as presented by Ms. Treadway for 21-22.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor by show of hands? Motion's carried.
I recommend the Swain County Board of Education approve the consent agenda, including the masking approval, which is for, Cody, help me. Optional masking.
It's optional masking.
Optional, okay.
But, point of clarification, did the rules change for the school buses?
Yes, CDC dropped that.
And so that was part of the original motion, is that we would follow the guidelines of CDC. Now that CDC has removed that, I don't think that we have to do a new motion. I think that's just part of what we've already got.
I think that the way that you worded the motion allows for us to do that.
Okay, I just wanted to put that out there. With that, I'll make a motion to keep it the same.
This motion is not intended to override any CDC directives. Okay. All right. Also in that are the minutes from the February 14th and 28th open and closed sessions. We need a motion.
All right, motion and second on consent agenda. All right,
We need a motion and a second, yes.
So moved.
Second.
all right, any discussion? All in favor by show of hands? Motion's carried.
Joanne, do we have anyone for public comment today? Mr. McKinney, we have an opportunity to be part of a statewide initiative right now. Oh, the calendar. I didn't see that. Well, let me see if I can make that up. I recommend that the Swain County Board of Education approve the calendar for the 22-23 school year as presented to you.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor by show of hands? Motion's carried.
Thank you, Mitch. As I was saying, State Superintendent Catherine Truitt has started a process to develop a portrait of a graduate for North Carolina. The purpose of a portrait for a graduate is to put into the public and into the schools. These are the qualities and the characteristics both personal and academic, that we want our students to possess when they graduate from high school. The state of North Carolina has not had one. Swain County Schools had begun or started to work on one before COVID. This is all coming together very well. She already has a team that she's been working with in Raleigh to put some pieces together, but she is reaching out to each of our school systems and asking for input. Over the next 2 months, I believe, we are going to be meeting with people from the community, parents, some school personnel, to go through a process of looking at what we want our graduates to possess when they leave our school system, and not only ours, but the school systems of North Carolina. There are 3 very important dates that are part of this. I would ask that you write these down or that you put them in your digital device, please. One is April the 5th from 5:30 to 8 p.m. I know that makes a long day. One is April the 26th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And the last is May 24th from 6 to 8 p.m. Those are the 3 confirmed dates for meetings. These are digital meetings. They are not face-to-face, okay? I would ask Mr. McKinney that 2 of our school board members please be part of this committee. I'm also going to be inviting a commissioner. We have Dr. Sutton and Miss Sneed and Miss Blankenship, although I don't think that Miss Blankenship knows she's on that committee, but she is. Just something else for her to do with her spare time. But I would like 2 of our current board members. Could you please provide me 2 names before April the 5th?
Yes.
Okay. There are other dates of importance, and you can see those there. We need to decide about our next board meeting. I am requesting that we please not meet on April the 11th because I'll be in Washington, D.C. that day. If we could meet on the 4th or on the 18th, I think it would help us.
I don't know of any reasons why we could not meet earlier, because we'll be off a week, so we'll come back, we've already got
11th spring break.
Pardon me? The 11th is spring break, yes.
We'll do the 4th.
4th.
April 4th?
I'll be traveling back that day, so
18th.
I will get back by 6 o'clock.
You'll
I'll
be
be
back,
good.
you'll be back to 6.
Yeah, I'll be back by 6. So I'll be here unless something happens. So.
April the 4th, let me look and see. I gotta go by softball schedule.
We should send a reminder out.
Oh, I will.
Oh, I'm good.
All right, so is that good, April 4th?
Let's
That'll be
see.
our next regular meeting.
Yeah, it'd be 6.
Yes, it'll be 6.
Yeah, we got Robbinsville at home, but that'll put the time about right.
Okay.
I can't miss softball game.
If any of you want to attend the commissioners' meeting on March the 24th, would love to have you there. However, if there are more than 2, I'll need to call a special meeting, and that's fine. It's just a notice.
March what?
March 24th, that's a week from not this Thursday, but the next Thursday.
There'll be 2 of us there for sure already.
Okay.
Okay,
So-
there'll be 2 of you.
What time?
What time was that, 6 or 5?
6.
6.
Okay.
And I want to notify you that I've been placed on the board of directors for the North Carolina State Superintendents Association for the next 2 years.
Good.
Which will mean a little bit of extra travel, but it's also a great opportunity to learn from the guys who really know what they're doing. So, I want you to know. That's all that I've got, unless you all have something else.
That's it.
Anybody got anything else? I was gonna say something to Ms. Williams before she left, and then they kinda got out before you say it. And I was gonna ask them the numbers. I know what it is. Between the middle school and high school, we've probably got 100 kids in band, haven't we?
I would assume that would be true, knowing the number of
Students,
students.
music students and band.
Certainly, music students, yes. If you include all of the choral,
Right.
all of the, absolutely, yes.
And
Probably more.
And I don't know if the public realize sometimes how many students we got involved in a music program at Swain High School. And one A school is far more than the other schools around us. I won't tell you a long tale because I can tell you one recent. Ms. Williams and I shared, and Travis was at a school down to the west, and they came out for their football game, had 9 to the 10, no, it was 9, between 9 and 11 of it, students in the band, and I thought that was a disgrace. So we're very fortunate to have Mr. Sale and Ms. Williams. They've gone out the door before I got to tell them that. I'll tell them.
They needed to get home, they hadn't.
But that means something for a small school to have that many kids.
Yes.
We got a lot of things going on for our kids, and that's good.
A lot of great extracurricular activities, and
Yes.
you've said, the more that we can keep our students involved, the better off, and our staff, our school system works very hard to make that happen.
And I was told today, we have so many track kids now up at the football field, they don't have room for them.
Yeah.
That's a good problem to have, but hopefully we won't have that problem forever. That's all I got to say. Did my preaching.
It's all right.
All right. Anybody else? Have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a second for that? All right. All in favor, stand up and adjourn.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yes.